the Metasploit tool and the HPing.
Yes, correct. HPing 3.
Yeah, great. So did I share the last session recording with you?
I think you shared it in WhatsApp, I think. Yeah.
I believe I shared my Friday.
Same day itself you have shared,
Shared.
right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So let me switch on my Kali here. So what are we going to talk about in our upcoming sessions? Okay. So we have got 3 sessions lined up. Let me open my paint. These modules are going to be, one of them is going to be session hijacking. Okay. One of them is going to be web application basics and attacks. Okay. Web application attacks. And one of them is going to be SQL injection. Okay. Now, all of these three modules, these are actually three different modules, but all of them fall under the same category of web applications. Okay. Okay. Great.
Session hijacking.
Okay. So let's start. Let's start with web application basics. So for this, for practicing web application attacks and all that stuff, we need to download a virtual machine
Okay.
that is known as Bbox. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me show it to you from where you can download it. You just need to type bwap here. Go to the SourceForge site. Go to files, bbox. Don't worry, I'll give you the link, the direct download link. Copy link location. Yeah, so this is the download link for Bbox. Okay, I have provided you in the chat. You can just click on this link, and it is going to be downloaded automatically. A zip file is going to be downloaded. Let's click on cancel here. I already have downloaded it, unzipped it, and configured it in my VMware. Okay, I have it here. This is my Bbox.
Okay.
So we'll not start with any practical which requires Bbox today. Okay, because you guys do not have it installed. Instead, what I'm going to cover is the basic theoretical aspect that with respect to web application. Okay, that is what I'm going to talk about today. So let me just see if it is available on Vuln Hub as well. Yeah, it is available on Vuln Hub as well. No, not to mention, I have already shared you the direct download link, so you can download it through that. So
It's
coming back,
asking to register some to subscribe. Where you can download?
sorry, I didn't got you.
No, actually, I opened that link. I'm getting some it asking some information to subscribe, and I'm unable to find the download option here.
No, there is not going to be anything like that. Let me just show
Okay,
you.
save us. Okay, okay,
Yeah, save file.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. You continue. I'll just.
Yeah. So yeah, coming back to my point here, let's start with the basics of web application. Okay. So I hope you guys understand what is domain name. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I take an example of www.google.com, can you guys tell me what is subdomain here?
Google is domain name. Subdomain is .com. Huh? So
Subdomain is .com.
yeah, that's what I'm using.
Okay, so actually here the subdomain is www.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the just a second. Yeah, so www is the subdomain.
Okay.
The Google is the domain name. This is the domain name. www is the subdomain name, and .com is your TLD, that is top level domain name. Okay, top level domain. So what is a TLD? TLD basically tells you a little bit about the target website. You can say, okay, like you would have heard about .in, .pk, .edu, .gov. Hmm?
Okay.
Top level domain. Okay. Do I have any example over here? Nope. Let me just get back. Yeah, here you can see like .org, .org, .com, okay, .gov, .edu for educational, com for commercial, okay, org for organization. We have got country specific TLDs as well, like .eu, .us, .fr, okay, like US, Europe, Canada, stuff like that. IN for India, okay. So that is known as your TLD. Coming back here, coming back to my point. Okay. Now, do you guys understand what is DNS?
Domain name server.
So, what is the purpose of DNS?
Purpose of DNS.
Right.
All
So,
the domain names they will create it in the server.
yeah. So basically, uh, the computers do not understand anything by the ASCII characters. Okay, does not identifies a website with its name,
Mm.
or we can say by domain name. So for computer to make a connection, he needs to know the target IP address only. Okay, it's like if I'm trying to visit facebook.com, the computer does not know what is facebook.com. Okay, computer cannot right away make a connection with the facebook.com server. That is not possible for it. Okay, so what happens exactly is there is something known as domain name system, that is DNS. It acts like a phone book for you. Okay, it's like just like a phone book in your phone that is going to have numbers and names, right? So what is going to happen here is your browser or your system is first of all going to send a request to the DNS server. So it's like a phone book. It's like a phone book for domain names. Okay. After that, what DNS server is going to reply is DNS server is going to tell your system that the domain name that you are trying to look for is having this IP address. Okay. So in the diagram here, you can see to the DNS server. a domain name is sent, and the DNS server replies back with the IP address that is associated to that domain name, right? It's like, uh, if you try to make a phone call, okay, you cannot make a phone call to a name. Okay, for making a phone call, you need a number. Okay, when you search for a name, the phone provides you with a number, and you click on call. So the call is not being made on the name, the call is being made on the number, right?
Yeah.
So similarly here, the request is supposed to be sent to the target server. The target for that, your system needs to know what is the IP address of the target server. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So your DNS basically helps you resolve your domain names to the IP addresses. Okay. That is the whole purpose of DNS. Once your system gets to know about the IP address of the target website, okay, then your system is going to make a request to that server, and that's how a request or response is going to happen. Okay. So just basics of DNS basically. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what is hosting space? Hosting space, or just type hosting space. What is hosting space?
No, I don't know.
So hosting space is just like, you can understand, like home of your website. Okay. While if you have ever tried to buy a domain name, okay, while buying or purchasing a domain name, you need a place for your domain name as well, right? I mean, where your website web pages or web files are going to be saved or going to be stored, right?
Okay.
So that is your hosting space basically.
Actually, DNS, DNS owning by individual organization, hosting space, uh, that is any common ISP they are providing the space, or how it will be?
No, hosting space is provided by a third party broker. Like, let me give you an example of, like, you can take an example of GoDaddy. GoDaddy.com. You would have heard about it.
Yeah.
So from here you can go and purchase domain names and all that stuff. While you purchase a domain name, after that it also provides you with the web hosting.
Okay.
Okay. So it's like you have got a car, but you need some parking space to park that car.
Okay.
Okay. So just like that, you have got a domain name, but you need a place where you can host that domain name so that everyone can access it. Okay. You will be having some web pages. It's like a server, you can say. Server that is running 24/7, which is hosting your files.
Every domain needs to this web hosting service.
Yeah. A domain name without hosting is like a car without the tires. You cannot take it anyway.
Okay. Individual cannot be own this hosting, right? They have to get it from third party.
Yeah, you can set up your own hosting space on your own system. But see, for that, what are the limitations? You need to have a dedicated server for that. You need uh, you need to purchase the server hardware. Okay, and then that server should be running 24/7. Okay,
Okay.
so you can host it by yourself as well.
Okay.
But generally, people, the casual users, do not opt for this method. Like, it is very expensive for an individual to do all of that stuff.
Okay. Big organizations that handle they were owning this hosting server, right?
Yeah,
Or they also get it. uh,
no, that depends upon organization to organization, depending upon their budget. What they can do is, if they do not have that much budget, they can opt to share some server from somebody else, like from they can get a small piece of share from GoDaddy. Okay.
Okay.
Or if they have sufficient money, they can go for dedicated hosting, like they can build their own server. Okay. And set it up for a single website that belongs to them only. Okay, so
Okay.
that depends from organization to organization. Some organization who want to be control of their data, like it should not be leaving their enterprise network. So in that case scenario, they will be building their own servers in house.
Mm.
Okay. They will be hosting those servers, managing those servers. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then let's talk about OWASP. Okay. OWASP top 10. Okay. So if I need to talk about OWASP, first of all, what is OWASP? Uh, Let's go to YouTube. Oh, sorry, not YouTube. Let's go to Google. OWASP top 10. So what does OWASP stands for? First of all, OWASP basically stands for Open Web Application Security Project. Okay, Open Web Application Security Project. And what it is all about. So basically, what happens is it's a non-profit organization. Okay, and it is basically powered by independent and freelancer security researchers. Okay, what they do is for every 3 to 4 years they do the research. Okay, they do all the research work, they do all the this analysis, like what kind of attacks, what kind of trends have been observed in past 2 to 3 years. Okay, and then they release a list of attacks. So what happens exactly is it's like they are going to observe, like the recent list was from 2017. Okay, before that we have got a list from 2013. OS top 10 2017. We got a list of 2017, and before that we had a list in 2013. Okay, and now we are expecting, and it's already 3 to 4 years, so we'll be expecting a list in 2021 or 20, by the end of 20. Okay.
So this is the across the world the report they will publish.
Yeah, across the world, all over the globe, they are going to monitor the trends. They are going to see what kind of attacks were performed by the attackers. Okay, and then they are going to give a list of attacks or list of vulnerabilities. Like if I can see here, this is a 2017 list. So this list basically contains of all the vulnerabilities and attacks. List of top 10 vulnerabilities that were exploited by the attackers. The hash one, the first vulnerability or the first attack vector basically means that this was something which was exploited a lot, exploited most frequently by the attackers. Okay. And then the second, so the frequency starts decreasing from top to bottom. Okay. It's like out of 1,000 web applications, 900 applications were exploited for injection based attacks, then 700 applications were exploited for broken authentication attack, and then 600 applications were exploited for sensitive data exposure, then 500 applications were exploited for XSEs. So this is, I'm just giving you a hypothetical example, giving you just a number for frequencies, like how much time an attack happened. Okay, so there's a dedicated course talking about in detail about all of these attack vectors, that is OWASP top 10. Okay, that is known as web application penetration test. Okay, if you want to become a web application penetration tester, then you need to have a good and solid knowledge of all of these vulnerabilities from 1 to 10, how to find them, how to exploit them, how to identify them, and how to patch them. These 10 vulnerabilities in itself are very vast. It's like you can easily take 6 months of studies, 6 to 12 months of study while mastering them, okay, or while at least understanding them. So we'll not go into that much deep, just talking about it at a superficial level or the surface level. Let's talk about, let's say, the 10th one, insufficient logging and monitoring. Okay.
These are these frequencies of attack.
Yeah, they are based upon the trends and frequencies of the attacks, like how many times
Okay.
this kind of attack actually happened, like what was the type of vulnerability which was exploited the most, and what was the type of vulnerability which was exploited the least.
Okay.
So here I have a list. Here I have this vulnerability in this list, and it says insufficient logging and monitoring. Okay. So what do you understand by this term?
Insufficient logging and monitoring.
Yeah.
Um, Monitoring that uh, hackers monitoring the victim's mission as well as logging their mission also here frequently or they occupy the some space. Sufficient logging.
Okay, so actually here we are not talking about the attacker being monitoring the victim machine.
Okay.
Actually, what we are seeing here is, like, let's say you have got your web application, okay, and you have got some of your online presence. Okay, it can
Okay.
be anything. Your either your server or your IoT device or your website, whatever it is. But what you have done is you are not creating sufficient logs. Okay, that is
Okay.
insufficient logging. Like you are not creating
Oh, okay.
logs.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, you are not creating logs of people who visited your website, who created an account on your website. Okay, like who visited at what time at your website. That is,
Okay.
that depends upon the owner of the website, right?
Lacks of these features in that application.
Yeah, right. So if there are not sufficient logs being made, that in itself is a vulnerability. Like tomorrow, if something wrong happens, how would you be able to look back into time and see who visited this website, who accessed this specific resource at what time,
Mm.
right? So that is insufficient logging,
Okay.
that you are not creating sufficient amount of logs.
Okay.
Then there is another thing that is known as monitoring. Let's say you are creating logs, you are creating sufficient logs, okay, but you are not monitoring those logs. And what does monitoring means here? That means, like, uh, you do not look back into your logs, okay, on daily basis or on weekly basis. You are not looking into it. It's like if something bad is going to happen, the attacker is not going to exploit your website in a single day. That is not possible. Okay, what attacker is going to do is attacker is going to make repeated attempts
Yeah.
at exploitation. Okay, many a times the attacker is going to fail. Okay,
Mm.
if you are creating sufficient logs and if you are monitoring them, if you are looking back into the logs, then you can monitor that activity. That okay, I can see some abnormal activity in my logs. I can see somebody try to access this resource, even it is not allowed for that person to view, but still someone is trying to have gain access to this resource and stuff like that. If you are monitoring it properly, so what you can do is you can take preventive steps at an appropriate point of time, right? It's like you can stop the attacker in between itself.
Okay.
Okay, that is monitoring. So if you are create either you are not creating the logs, that is insufficient logging, or if you are creating the logs but not monitoring them, that is insufficient logging and monitoring. Okay. So here is a brief description, like when many web applications are not taking enough steps to detect data breaches. Okay, not taking enough steps to detect it. Average discovery time for a breach is around 200 days after it has happened. This gives attacker a lot of time to cause damage before there is any response. Okay. OWASP recommends that web developers should implement logging and monitoring as well as incident response plans to ensure that they are made aware of attacks on their application. Right? Like it's like somebody compromised your website, but you are not even aware of it. Okay, so here a general trend is observed that after a data breach has happened, after 200 days, at least after 200 days, the organization is made aware of it. Like till that point, attacker is already inside your facility, attacker has already caused the damage, and even till the 200 days, you are not aware of it. Like something like that happened. Why? Because either you are not logging everything or you are not monitoring everything. That's why.
Okay.
Okay. That is insufficient logging and monitoring.
For this kind of things, and like, is there any protocols, structured protocols for to avoiding this kind of risk? What are the steps I have to take? Anything we do have that?
No, there are not as such protocols. Okay. Instead, there are uh, like certain guidelines you can say, or there are certain good practices you can say, like which should be followed by the developer or the organization. Okay, that you should be having a firewall in
Eh,
place. Okay,
Sorry,
you
Rishabh, your
should
voice
be
in between not
uh,
clear.
hmm?
Your voice in between
Okay,
break.
my
Yeah,
voice is
not getting.
breaking. Okay, maybe there's some network issue. Let me repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, my internet connection, it says a bit unstable it is. So I am saying that that depends. Okay, like from the developer side, the developer should make an application which is logging the connections. Okay, a log should be created. Or if it is implemented in a corporate network, there should be a firewall in place. Okay,
Okay.
and firewall should be properly configured. You should go for a WAF, that is web application firewall. Okay, and you should be creating logs for all the active and inactive connections as well. So these are like best practices, but there is no not as such protocol that you can simply implement and get away with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So then there is a thing that is known as using components with known vulnerabilities. Hmm? Using components with known vulnerabilities. So as the name in itself suggests, like let's say you are making a home. Okay, you are making a house, you are making a building. There are a lot of ingredients that are going to be used, like cement, like the
Bricks
pillars,
and
right?
yeah.
The sand, the cement, all that stuff. Okay, the bricks,
Mm.
everything. So if you are going to use uh, like if you are going to use weak bricks, or you can say low quality cement or low quality beams or low quality sand, your building is not going to be strong. Okay, it is not going to sustain any damage from the nature or earthquake, something like that. Okay, so similarly, if I need to talk about web application, okay, in web application, it's like if while you are creating a web application, there are a lot of components that are used, like a database. Okay, a programming language is going to be there. Some kind of a plugins are going to be there.
Yeah, some
Some kind of
add-in product.
yeah, some kind of a CMS is
Web server.
yeah, some kind of a content management system is going to be there. For example, you are using WordPress. It's a CMS. You are using WordPress to make a website, and you are using MySQL database. that is another component. You are using some JavaScript libraries. Okay. Along with that, you are using Apache server. Okay. That is also a component for web application. So similarly, there are a lot of components which collectively are responsible for a web application security. Let's say you build a very good website, but what mistake you did is, let's say the WordPress latest version is WordPress 7. Okay. And there are, let's say, known vulnerabilities in WordPress 5. And what you are doing is you are creating your website using WordPress 5. Okay. So this is a very big blunder that you are doing.
Mhm.
You are using a component to build your application
With
which
no
already,
number.
yeah, which is like a weak component while building while creating a building.
Mm.
Okay. So an attacker can very easily exploit that WordPress 5 because it is already having vulnerabilities that are widely known by everyone. Okay.
Okay.
So let me just search for Webalizer. Webalizer is an extension that you can download, install it. Okay. Now what I can do is I can go to any website. Like let's just go to panchipetha.com. So here you can click on this plugin, that is Webalizer plugin, and you can see what all components are being used here behind the scenes. You can see Nginx server is used, 1.17.6. WordPress is being used, PHP is being used, MySQL database is being used. There is some e-commerce integration from WooCommerce, that is 3.12. Okay. And there are certain JavaScript libraries that are being used here. Okay. Similarly, so on. So let's say if I found that Nginx 1.17.6 is being used here. Okay, let me just copy this. First of all, I need to know Nginx latest version. What is the latest version? And today we release Nginx 1.17.0. So this is 1.17.0 is the latest version. And what do we have here? Yeah, we have 1.17.6. This is probably the latest one. Okay. So that does not falls under the category of using components with known vulnerability. Wait a minute. I can see here it is article from 2019. We have Nginx version 118 as well, 119 as well. Okay, let's just do one thing. Nginx 1.17.6 exploit. Search for it. I can search for any vulnerability in this version.
How to search that? Is there downgraded versions? Is there any vulnerability? How can we search it? To browse the product down along with the downgraded version, or is there any documented website or anything is available?
Yeah, you are saying that if they are using a downgraded version.
A downgraded versions vulnerability, how we can find whether that is any vulnerabilities are there, or any uh, found any vulnerabilities in previous version, how we can find that?
By simply searching here
There
with
is
that,
no other option.
yeah, no other option. Like if you are going for, let's say, WordPress. Huh? WordPress. Let's just search for latest version. WordPress latest version is 5.4. A security maintenance that came out in 5.4 is the latest version of WordPress. And let's say I'm going for WordPress. I'm using 3.5. Okay. I can simply search for 3.5 vulnerability. Okay.
Vulnerability keyword can use for searching.
Yeah. So this is how you are going to go through all the results here. Okay. Or you can directly search for exploit. Okay. See if you are able to find something at exploit DB. So here you can see that an arbitrary file upload vulnerability is there in the version 3.5 in this plugin. I can use this exploit. There's a sample POC provided here. Go to here. Okay. And it will get saved in this directory. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So before using any component, I should be very well versed that, okay, am I using the latest one? It's like uh, everyone has now shifted to Windows 10, but you are still using Windows XP. Okay.
Okay.
So Windows XP is known vulnerable to a lot of exploits. Okay.
Okay.
So that is basically using components with known vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Okay. So along with that, let me just give you a mind map. Aman Hardikar mind maps. You can go here and go to the hacking challenges mind map. Let me just share it to you directly in the chat. So here basically you can find a lot of links for practicing your web application pen testing skills. Okay. So from here itself, I'm going to use that BWAP. Okay. BWAP, what is BWAP? BWAP stands for broken or buggy web application. So it is basically made by OWASP only. Okay. The OWASP security researchers build it for other security researchers to practice the web application exploitation in a safe environment. Okay. It's like before running, try to learn how to walk. Okay. It's like that, so that you can practice your skills in a safe lab environment. So similarly, here we have got a lot of challenges and a lot of practice based stuff here. Okay. So all of these links are provided here. Can I see any BWAP over here? Let me just see. Yeah, here is the BWAP. You can see. This is the link that I provided you at the beginning,
Yeah.
right? So you download this thing, okay, and just configure it in your VMware or your VirtualBox, whatever you use, okay. And we will look into in the next session what is cross-site scripting, okay, and what are two types of cross-site scripting, like stored and reflected. We'll look into it, and we'll talk about the local file inclusion vulnerability and remote file inclusion based vulnerability. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
For that, we'll be doing practical itself. We'll be learning in the practical only.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So Great. That would be all for today's session.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, that's all. Have a great day ahead.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.